Throwaway account here because I honestly never thought I'd be one of those guys posting on here. But life has a funny way of kicking you in the teeth when you least expect it. My name's Daniel, and my wife is Jessica. We've been married for 7 years, together for nearly 10. We have no kids, just a house, 2 dogs, and what I thought was a solid marriage. Jessica has always been strong-willed. That's part of what attracted me to her in the first place. She had this fiery energy, like she knew exactly what she wanted out of life. But over the last year, that fiery spark turned into something different. Cold. Sharp. Like every conversation had to be an argument, every suggestion I made had to be shot down. At first, I chalked it up to stress. She said she was swamped at work, she's in marketing, pulling late nights, too exhausted to do anything at home. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. But then little things started piling up. Her phone was suddenly on Do Not Disturb all the time. She started sleeping with it under her pillow. She was too tired for intimacy, but somehow had the energy to go out with her work friends twice a week. When I asked simple questions like, "Who are you texting?" she'd snap back with, "Why are you being so controlling?" God, Daniel, can't I have any privacy? I let it go for months, telling myself I was paranoid. I didn't want to be the jealous husband. But deep down, something felt off. And then, the signs started getting harder to ignore. The night everything really clicked into place started pretty ordinary. Jessica said she had a late campaign review and wouldn't be home until midnight. Fine. I ordered some takeout, watched a game, and eventually headed to bed around 11. At about 12:30, I woke up because the dogs were barking. I figured Jess was home, but when I checked, the driveway was empty. No car. No text. Nothing. I called her, and it went straight to voicemail. An hour later, she finally walked in. Her hair was a mess, and her makeup looked smudged in a way that screamed not work-related. She tossed her purse on the couch and gave me this look like, "What are you doing awake?" That night, I couldn't sleep. Something was screaming at me to check. I know, snooping isn't right. But I grabbed her phone while she was in the shower the next morning. And there it was. A text thread with a guy named Marcus, work, except the messages were anything but professional. Things like, "Last night was amazing, I can still smell you on me, and next time let's book the hotel earlier so we don't have to rush." Photos. The kind that made my stomach drop. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. That's when it hit me, I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. My wife was cheating on me. And suddenly, every cold shoulder, every fight, every late night at the office made perfect, sickening sense. I didn't plan it. I didn't rehearse what I'd say. The words just flew out of me. That evening, when she got home, I held up her phone and said, "Who the hell is Marcus?" Jessica froze for a second, then her face twisted into this annoyed expression. Not guilty, not scared, just pissed off that I dared to ask. She yanked the phone out of my hand and said, "Wow, Daniel. Snooping through my private messages? How pathetic can you be?" I couldn't believe it. She didn't even deny it. She went straight into attack mode, flipping the whole thing on me. I pushed, told her I saw the texts, the photos, that there was no way to explain that away. Her response? "You're blowing this out of proportion. It was just flirting. You don't give me attention, and Marcus actually makes me feel wanted." Then 2 minutes later, she changed her story. "Fine. We kissed once. Big deal. Stop acting like the world's ending." And when I wouldn't back down, she finally snapped, "Okay, yes, I slept with him. Are you happy now? Is this the drama you wanted?" I stood there, speechless. My whole marriage unraveled in less than 10 minutes. But the worst part? She looked almost smug. Like admitting it didn't even faze her. Like she'd been preparing for this moment and was just waiting to unleash her anger on me instead. That was the first time I realized I wasn't just dealing with betrayal. I was dealing with someone who had no remorse. I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't handle it well at first. My whole body was shaking. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. I'd spent years thinking Jess was my partner, my best friend, my safe place, and suddenly she was a stranger standing in front of me with venom in her eyes. I remember yelling things I didn't even know I was capable of saying. Stuff like, "Do you even realize what you've done to us? And how could you throw away our entire marriage for some cheap thrill?" And her response? She rolled her eyes. Literally rolled her eyes like I was some overdramatic child. She muttered, "God, you're so boring. You never listen. Marcus actually talks to me. He gets me. You just sit here with your routine and expect me to be happy." That cut deeper than the cheating itself. Because it wasn't just about her sleeping with another man, it was the utter contempt she had for me. For the life we built together. For everything I thought mattered. The anger came in waves. First, this white-hot rage where I wanted to break something, her phone, a plate, anything. Then the crushing guilt, maybe I wasn't enough, maybe I'd failed her somehow. Then back to rage again. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the living room staring at the wall, replaying everything in my head. Every lie she'd told. Every excuse I'd swallowed. Every sign I'd ignored because I trusted her. And that trust was dead now. After the initial firestorm of rage, something inside me just broke. I remember sitting at the kitchen table the next morning, watching the sunlight creep across the floor, and feeling absolutely nothing. Just empty. Jessica came down in a robe, acting like nothing had happened. She poured herself coffee, scrolled on her phone, and barely acknowledged me. That's when the sadness hit, like a tidal wave. I realized I wasn't just angry at her betrayal, I was mourning the death of the woman I thought I married. The numbness set in quick after that. I went through the motions at work, barely ate, barely slept. Friends asked if I was okay, and I lied through my teeth, yeah, just tired. Meanwhile, inside, I felt like I was hollowing out. I kept replaying our life together like some messed up highlight reel. Our wedding day, when she cried saying her vows. The trip to Italy where she begged me to promise we'd come back for our 10-year anniversary. The stupid little routines, like her always stealing the blanket at night. All of it suddenly felt fake. Like she'd been performing a role, and now I was seeing the real Jessica, selfish, cold, and completely unapologetic. The sadness wasn't just about losing her. It was about losing the version of myself that believed in her. Things didn't just stop with the confession. Oh no, within a week, it was like the universe wanted to make sure I really knew how deep the rabbit hole went. First sudden event, I got a call from my buddy Ryan, whose wife happens to work with Jessica. He asked me straight up, "Man, are you okay? People at Jess's office are talking." Turns out, she wasn't exactly discreet. Marcus wasn't some random coworker in another department, he was her direct boss. And apparently, everyone in her circle knew. Everyone but me. Second, Jessica came home one night, clearly tipsy, and let it slip that she and Marcus had gone away for a conference last month. Conference? Funny, because I remember her telling me she was in Chicago for a client pitch. When I pressed her on it, she snapped, "What does it matter now? At least Marcus appreciates me." Third, and this one still makes my blood boil, I found a receipt for a hotel room in her purse. Same weekend she told me she was at her mom's helping her with spring cleaning. She didn't even bother hiding it well. Just crumpled in with some gum wrappers and a Target receipt. Every new piece of evidence was like getting punched in the stomach again. And each time, Jessica doubled down with her lies, then flipped it around on me. "You're obsessed. This isn't healthy. If you were half the man Marcus is, I wouldn't have had to look elsewhere. Maybe if you worked on yourself instead of playing detective, we'd be fine." It was like she wanted me to believe I was the crazy one for connecting the dots that she practically left out on the kitchen counter. The marriage wasn't just cracking, it was collapsing. And fast. The breaking point came on a Friday night. I'd had a long week at work and was just trying to decompress. Jessica waltzed in around 11 p.m., smelling like perfume and whiskey, and I knew instantly she hadn't been at girls' night like she claimed. I asked her, calmly at first, where she'd been. She smirked and said, "Out." "Why do you care?" That was it. I snapped. I told her I was done being treated like an idiot, that I knew about the hotel, the texts, the so-called conference. I laid it all out. Instead of denying it, she laughed. She actually laughed in my face. Then she said, "God, Daniel, you're so pathetic. You should be grateful someone like me even bothered marrying you." I saw red. I didn't hit her, never would, but I slammed my fist on the table so hard the dogs ran out of the room. I shouted, "Do you even realize what you've done to us?" "To me?" Her reply, "You'll get over it. Men always do." That was the moment I knew this wasn't salvageable. Not with someone who could look me dead in the eye and treat our entire marriage like a disposable toy. She stormed upstairs, slammed the bedroom door, and I sat alone in the living room, shaking, heart racing, realizing my life as I knew it was over. That fight was the line in the sand. Before it, I still had this tiny, delusional hope that maybe things could be fixed. After it, I knew I had to start thinking about an exit. After that fight, the house turned into a war zone of silence. We barely spoke. When we did, it was short, clipped, and venom-laced. She'd roll her eyes at me over the simplest things, like asking if she fed the dogs. The weirdest part? She acted like nothing was wrong outside the house. I'd overhear her on the phone with her mom, laughing, gossiping, pretending everything was perfect. But with me, it was daggers. She started sleeping in the guest room, claiming she needed space. I didn't argue. Truth was, I couldn't stand the sight of her anymore. Every time I looked at her, I saw Marcus's hands on her, heard her lies in my head. The distance wasn't just physical, it was emotional. I stopped checking in on her, stopped trying to win her back, stopped fighting to understand why. It was like my heart just shut down. I'd go to work, come home, feed the dogs, zone out on the couch, and avoid her as much as possible. Meanwhile, she doubled down on her bitchiness. Comments like, "Don't wait up for me, Marcus actually likes my company. Maybe if you hit the gym once in a while, I wouldn't have to look elsewhere. Why are you sulking? Grow a pair, Daniel." I didn't even have the energy to yell back anymore. The silence between us was deafening, and in a twisted way, it was worse than the fights. It felt like we weren't even married anymore, just two bitter roommates waiting for the other to break first. And deep down, I knew what was coming next. The final straw came 2 weeks later. Jessica told me she had to fly to Denver for a client presentation. She even showed me a fake itinerary on her phone, all official looking with flight numbers and hotel details. I didn't say anything, but something about the way she over-explained it set off alarms in my head. The night she flew out, I got a call from Ryan again. He and his wife were at a downtown bar, and guess who they saw? Jessica. Not in Denver. Not at a hotel. But sitting across a booth from Marcus, feeding him fries like a high school couple. When I confronted her after she returned from her trip, she doubled down like a pro liar. "You're imagining things. Ryan hates me, of course he'd make something up." Wow, Daniel, you're so insecure it's embarrassing. But here's the kicker, I had proof. Ryan sent me pictures. Clear as day, Jessica and Marcus, arm in arm, no Denver in sight. When I shoved the phone in her face, she went white for a second, then exploded. She screamed, "So what if I lied? You've been suffocating me for years. Marcus makes me feel alive." It was like watching a mask shatter. Every ounce of pretense dropped, and the real Jessica, the cruel, selfish, unapologetic Jessica, was standing right there, daring me to do something about it. That was the blow-up lie. The one that turned my suspicion into undeniable fact and torched whatever scraps of marriage were left. After that blow-up, I hit the lowest point of my life. I'd been clinging to this stupid shred of hope that maybe, if she admitted it and showed remorse, we could work through it. But there was no remorse. No apology. Just cruelty and contempt. I remember lying in bed one night, staring at the ceiling, wondering how the hell my life got here. I hadn't eaten properly in days. My hands would shake for no reason. I'd wake up sweating from dreams where I caught her with Marcus over and over again. The worst part wasn't even the cheating, it was realizing the person I trusted most was capable of looking me in the eye, lying without flinching, and making me feel like I was the problem. That messes with your head in ways I can't even explain. I stopped seeing friends. I ignored texts from family. I didn't want to admit to anyone that my marriage was burning to the ground. I felt humiliated, like the whole world could see what a fool I'd been. At work, I went through the motions, but my boss pulled me aside one day and asked if I was okay. I wanted to scream, "No, I'm not okay. My wife is screwing her boss and laughing about it while my life crumbles." Instead, I just said, "Yeah, just tired." That was rock bottom. The place where sadness, anger, and numbness all mixed into one toxic cocktail that left me hollow. But as broken as I felt, something inside me started to shift. I couldn't stay in that pit forever. Something had to give. After weeks of misery, I realized I had two choices: keep letting Jessica drag me deeper into the pit, or climb out myself. There wasn't going to be some magical apology, no teary reconciliation. She wasn't that person anymore, maybe she never was. One night, I sat at the kitchen table with a notepad and wrote 2 columns, stay versus leave. Stay. Constant lies. No respect. Humiliation. Living with someone who doesn't even like me, let alone love me. Leave. Pain. Uncertainty. Starting over. But maybe, peace? For the first time in months, the choice was clear. Staying meant slow death by 1,000 cuts. Leaving meant ripping the bandage off all at once. I chose to leave. The next morning, I told Jessica flat out, "I'm done. I want a divorce." Her reaction? She laughed. She actually laughed and said, "Good luck finding someone who'll put up with you." Then she added, "Marcus already said he'll take care of me, so don't think you're screwing me over." And that was it. No begging, no tears, no fight to save us. Just a smirk and a shrug, like our marriage meant as much to her as an old receipt in the trash. As painful as it was, her reaction only confirmed I was making the right call. Once the decision was made, things moved fast. I contacted a lawyer the very next day. He was blunt, "Daniel, she's cheated, she's shown no remorse. The sooner you file, the cleaner this will be for you." Hearing it put so plainly was both brutal and freeing. I started gathering documents, bank statements, mortgage papers, anything that would matter. It felt surreal, like I was dismantling a life I'd spent years building piece by piece. When I served Jessica the papers, she acted like it was beneath her. She sneered and said, finally growing a spine, "Huh? Marcus already said he'll cover me if you try to screw me in the settlement." Fine, let her have Marcus. Let him deal with her constant lies and attitude. Packing was rough. Every object in the house had some memory attached to it. The couch we picked out together. The framed Italy photo. Even stupid things like the coffee mugs we bought on a road trip. I boxed up what was mine, left the rest, and told myself, those are just things. I need my freedom more than furniture. The dogs, thank God, came with me. Even Jessica didn't fight me on that. Probably because she knew they'd pick me over her in a heartbeat. The day I walked out of that house, keys left on the counter, I felt both crushed and lighter. Like I'd finally cut the cord that had been strangling me. The first few weeks on my own were brutal. I moved into a small one-bedroom apartment across town, half the size of our house, but at least it was mine. No constant tension, no icy silence, no Jessica stomping around like a queen on her throne. But the emptiness hit hard. I'd catch myself setting out 2 coffee mugs in the morning before realizing it was just me now. The bed felt like a cavern. The dogs would curl up beside me like they knew I was trying to hold it together. Then came the aftershocks. Running into mutual friends who'd heard about everything and didn't know what to say. Accidentally stumbling on Marcus and Jessica's smiling faces on social media. Waking up at 3 a.m., heart racing, replaying her words, "You're pathetic." Marcus makes me feel alive. But slowly, something shifted. The longer I was away from her, the clearer things became. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't pathetic. I was loyal to someone who spat on that loyalty, and I finally had space to see how toxic she really was. It wasn't easy, I won't pretend it was. But for the first time in months, I had silence that wasn't heavy. I could sit in my apartment with the dogs, make myself dinner, and not feel like I was walking on eggshells. It was painful, yes. But it was also the start of healing. Looking back now, I see things more clearly than I ever did while I was in the middle of it. Jessica wasn't just cheating, she'd been tearing me down for years in ways I didn't notice. The sarcasm that always felt a little too sharp, the constant need to be right, the way she'd make me feel guilty for wanting normal affection, it wasn't love. It was control. The affair just exposed what was already there, a total lack of respect. She didn't value me, and deep down, I think she never did. I was safe, predictable, comfortable. And when that wasn't exciting anymore, she looked elsewhere and blamed me for her choices. What I learned. Trust your gut. All those little red flags? They weren't paranoia. They were signs I didn't want to face. Don't ignore contempt. Once someone looks at you with disgust instead of love, it's over, no matter what you tell yourself. You can survive betrayal. At the time, I thought losing her would kill me. It didn't. It hurt like hell, but I'm still here. Stronger, even. Most importantly, I learned that being alone is so much better than being with someone who makes you feel worthless. So here I am, months later, typing this out to strangers on the internet because I don't want anyone else to ignore the signs the way I did. If you're reading this and you're wondering if your partner is cheating, listen to that voice in your head. Don't let them gaslight you. Don't let love blind you to disrespect. Lies always leave a trail, you just have to be willing to see it. Leaving Jessica was the hardest decision of my life, but it was also the best. I won't pretend I'm over it completely, betrayal leaves scars, but I wake up now without dread in my chest. I walk my dogs, drink my coffee, and I don't have to question whether my partner is lying to me. That peace is worth more than any illusion of marriage I thought I had. To anyone in my shoes, don't settle for half-love. Don't let someone convince you you're crazy for wanting honesty. And don't be afraid to walk away. The pain of leaving is sharp, but the pain of staying will eat you alive. As for Jessica? Last I heard, she's still with Marcus. Maybe she's happy, maybe she's not. Honestly, I don't care anymore. That chapter's closed. I've got my freedom back, and I'm not wasting another second looking over my shoulder.